I'm in one of the parking lots for the 400-acre nature preserve called Leopold's Preserve. It's near Gainesville, Virginia. Out that way is Thoroughfare Road. It's a gravel road to get here. It's a nice parking lot here, nice gravel lot. You got your Don's John there. Yep, there it is. My little red car. And it looks like that's the trail heading that way. So let's go. I guess we're going to try and hike in a big loop around this preserve. I tried to download the map, but when I scanned the QR code with my phone, it took me to a non-existent internet location. So we'll just wander around, see what we can find. I'm not going to call out elevations. The elevation right here is 400 feet, and this is a real flat hike, so there's no point in that. Guess I'll follow the little gravel pathway. Oh man, look at that. Bottle of water just sitting there. That's not very nice. And over here, what do we have? I'm guessing that's a poop bag for a dog. Okay, let's keep going. Well, here's the first intersection with no signs and stuff. I think I'm just going to go to the right because that'll take me around, hopefully, the perimeter of the place. So let's go to the right and see what happens. It's hard to see, almost completely overgrown, but there's an old house back in there. I took some still pictures of the looks like it was the Brent family. Alfred Brent, one of the African American families who built their homestead here, was called Villages of Piedmont. And this sign down here says that he made his living by doing laundry for the town of Haymarket. Another fork in the road just past the old Brent homestead. So I'm going to go to the right and try and stay on the outer perimeter of the property. I know I'm close to the outer perimeter because over there I can see power lines going down Thoroughfare Road. So let's go to the right. This stop here is explaining this hedgerow, and it explains that these hedgerows, besides people planting them, they can grow up naturally because the animals spread seeds around. Birds and other animals spread seeds around, and these areas that aren't plowed or mowed, they just spring up naturally. Here we go with another right-hand turn. Old metal plate full of bullet holes. That's a good thing to test out your firearms on, make sure they're working. I've been following the gravel road that's over there to my left. I turned around, it was on my right, but I hiked down a ways and decided that I'm probably not on the preserve anymore, although there's no sign or anything. So I'm going to backtrack to there was an entrance back here that said Leopold's Preserve that I walked past and just stayed on this cut path here, but I think I'm going to backtrack and go back into the preserve on that where it's got some signage. .1 miles into my hike, and when you get to a certain point on this trail, I kept going straight for a while until I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I backtracked to here. This sign says Leopold's Preserved, and it's even paved. So if you're following the perimeter, you'll come up this way. The gravel road will be on your right. When you get to this spot, I'd turn left and go in here. So when you get to these signs, you'll have to backtrack. We're going this way, back onto the gravel. So this little micro topography area is supposed to be where the, I guess, a spotted salamander lives. There's a picture of one of them right there. Pretty cool looking. And it's supposed to be this little hill here. There's something special about this little place. And we'll go down there, and there's a fenced off area down there. Let's see what's going on down there. So this fenced in area is an upland depression wetland ecosystem. And because there's no water flowing into this area, it's not protected by any current environmental regulations. So they're trying to preserve it, and they have put this fence around here to keep people out. So and besides people, they're trying to protect it from deer grazing in there. So just trying to preserve it the way it is, folks. So this type of habitat here is they call it edge habitat, where the forest meets the open areas. And there's 6 species of hawks that nest here in Virginia: red-tailed, red-shouldered, broad-winged, Cooper's, sharp-shined, and northern harrier. There's a red-shouldered, and there's a red-tailed. So this describes the evolution of landscape here in Virginia, and you see a lot of this up in Shenandoah National Park. Back before 1935, it was mostly cleared like that. Everybody gets kicked off the mountain. You end up with this, tall grasses and things, and then after many, many years, you end up with that. Look, honeysuckle vines, thick as thieves back in there. Smells good too. So this sign is talking about this area was mostly farms, and this says this was John Hill Carter's Falkland Farm, 1,750 acres. And this is saying most of the farms in Prince William County were producing corn, oats, and wheat. This sign talks about the pollinators, bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. Big open area. It's hard to see because the weeds and the grass is so tall. Well, here's some kind of a small lake, pond. I think it's a surge pond. I mean, there's houses over there, so probably when they put in the roads and things and cut down all the trees, they had to provide some surge capacity, so this is probably it right here. See the houses over there? And then here's it's hard to see from here, but that's the dam. It's got a slit, a narrow slit, and then a medium wide slit, and then it would overflow over the top and down that way into Broad Run. Right now I'm following this this branch of a trail that I'm following along the northern edge of the property. I'm following a stream. It's probably headwaters of Broad Run, but right there's a railroad grade. So I don't know. I can't go any further north, so I might have to turn around and go back where it came from. So this area here is wet and swampy because beavers have built dams down through here. Here's the other side. One heck of a footbridge coming across here too. Look at that. And in the background, I hear the rumbling of railroad locomotives. There must be some kind of a rail yard in Haymarket. I'll have to look into that. So this chart goes through a long discussion about the history of all this land around here. 1649, King Charles granted this land to John Culpeper, called the Northern Neck Proprietary. And then after that, it went to 5th Lord Fairfax. And then Robert Carter. Yeah. And then there's some division of land into Prince William, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Fauquier counties. And this area is called the Villages of Piedmont. And then the Carter family got some of it, and Robert King Carter died in 1732. He had 300,000 acres. Man, that's a big area. And on and on and on and on. And here we are today. Right over there's subdivision with McMansions in it and stuff. So that's the history of this land. There's the railroad grade. That way's towards Haymarket in Gainesville. And this way takes you out towards, well, Front Royal and Strasbourg. A little something off the beaten path. Some kind of aluminum siding, or maybe it's roofing. So this forest is home to the eastern screech owl. And down here we have a northern flicker woodpecker. So this little pond here in the middle of nowhere, it looks like somebody dug that part out. See how squared off it is? Anyway, these days it's home to wood frogs and spotted salamanders. Well, I'm out to Route 15. I'm going to go down there to the corner and see if I can loop back. Otherwise, I'm going to have to backtrack. Okay, well, I'm back into the preserve now. When you get to Route 15, you're basically walking out of the preserve. You have to turn right and then cross over the big entrance to the subdivision. Hike south just a short distance, and then the first right-hand trail you see, just turn right and come back in. So I'm back in the preserve now, but I'm still pretty close to Route 15. You can probably hear the traffic noise. .4 miles into my hike. That's where I came from. I'm going to start cutting, skipping some of the loops, because I'd probably end up being 10 miles if I do everything, and my feet are starting to hurt. But I wanted to show you this. Since I normally hike in the mountains, and right now I'm at, let's see, 400 feet. Look how flat this is. And that noise you hear is Route 15. Look how flat this land is. It's crazy. I'm used to hiking up in the mountains. Anyway, keep going this way. I'm starting to look for shortcuts back. So this sign talks about birds that stay here year-round, including the winter. You got, these are cardinals, the bright red one's a male, and the one with the duller color, orangish yellow, that's the females. titmouse, nuthatch, and chickadees. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Thoroughfare Gap, 1994. And I hiked around a wildlife preserve called Leopold's Preserve. Now it's not actually shown on this map, so I drew a dotted line and highlighted it green. This is the area around the preserve. In the middle of the preserve, also not shown here, is a fairly large subdivision called Piedmont Villages. This is Interstate 66. The town of Haymarket is down this way. Gainesville's a little further to the east. This is Route 15. This is Route 55. You get on Route 55 and right here you turn and head south on this. This is called Thoroughfare Road. You cross the railroad tracks, come down a little further. This is a gravel road, and turn left and you park right here. If you go to the Leopold's Preserve website, they do show a map, but I didn't see any convenient way to download it. I suppose you could go there and just take some screenshots and print them out. That's probably what I should have done. So to some extent, this hike is like me wandering around, trying to find my way around the place. But anyway, initially I hiked down in this direction until there's some other paths in here that I hiked on that I didn't bother to draw in, but I hiked down this way for a while to the south. Then I turned around and came back up this way to the north, and then headed off in this direction up near the northern edge of the property. And along through here, it's a little bit hilly in through here. Actually, you can see these contour lines here. There's some up and down right there. And you're following, this is the headwaters of Broad Run, and here's the rail line right here coming through. So you just keep following this around to the east. Now, I didn't show this, but there's a piece of it that actually comes out here to Route 15. And then you have to follow south on next to Route 15 for a short distance and then come back in like this. So when you're coming around, if you're coming clockwise around this way, you're going to head out this way. You're going to leave the preserve and hit the sidewalk of Route 15. Right in through here is the entrance to the subdivision. You cross over that, and then you turn right and you head right on back in, like that. Follow this on down around this way, and back up to complete my loop. My actual GPS track, I'll download it and show it on Google Earth like I usually do. It's pretty flat in through there. I ended up hiking 6.3 miles, and the ascent was 394 feet. And most of that ascent would have been right in through here. The rest of the hike is almost perfectly flat. So it's a nice hike. It's not strenuous. Now the only problem with this hike, there's no benches, park benches to sit in. So once you get in here a ways, you've got no choice but to hike back out. So just keep that in mind. They have a Don's John right here in the parking lot, so you can use a bathroom before you take off on your hike. Now, I didn't hike the other side, but if you cross over to this side, this part's also part of the wildlife preserve. So maybe someday I'll go back and take a look at that. But this is a nice hike. It's close to Gainesville, Haymarket, Manassas areas. Easy to get to, and it's very flat. And that was a hike for today.